Path Radio, your number one online Islamic talk station.
Welcome to Middle Path Radio, and you're listening to Techtalk. This is your brother Ahmed bringing to you a discussion about weekly tech stories that are coming up, and very interesting kind of topical debate that we'll be having on this program. With me in the studio is Brother Adam. Welcome to the studio, Brother Adam. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, brother.
How you doing? Are you okay?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah.
Really happy you could join us on the program. Brother Adam will be our, resident tech guru and information technology expert. So if you've got any of your nerdy questions, then by all means put him on the hot seat if you want. Not me, because I couldn't help you even if I tried. So again, that brings us really to describing what this program is. It's really our personal opinion. It's not really trying to educate people on a very informative level. We're not trying to give you news or trying to be extremely educational. What we do is we discuss, tech information, especially mobile tech gadgets that the everyday consumer takes interest in. We do talk about some of the tech that the ordinary consumer wouldn't normally buy. Say, for example, we talked a little bit about the Google Glass last week. So we will touch on some of those things. I think you've heard of another wearable technology that's been announced is the Oculus Rift and Samsung's Gear VR, I think they're calling it, virtual reality. So these are some virtual reality headsets. So again, they're not very common and they're not widely popular, but we will be talking about some of those things just out of to cover everyone, really, to be honest with you. Brother Adam, I understand you are a man who carries two mobile phones, two smartphones with you. They're not just ordinary mobile phones. Tell us a little bit about your interest in general, and as to why we've like to have you on the program.
It's not really, interest. I just like to, have a phone as a backup all the time. So that's why I carry two phones.
I heard you're quite a Samsung fanboy, according to the producer.
Not exactly.
I can see that you've got a Galaxy Note 3 and a Galaxy S5. That kind of screams fanboy to me.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be hard on you, so I'm just being.
At the time, I had a Samsung Galaxy Note 2.
Right.
That messed up, so I just really got that as a replacement from T-Mobile. That's why I got two Samsung, because they're both on contract.
Oh, okay.
But I really, myself, I prefer Sony phones.
Okay.
So that's probably going to be my next one, what you're carrying.
You told me already before we went on air that you actually had a couple of Sony phones before. I believe the Xperia Z and the Xperia Z1.
Z1.
You had both the first Xperia Z generations, Generation 1 and Generation 2, basically. Interesting to find that actually you aren't the fanboy that one may assume that you are. Have you had any Apple devices at all in the past?
No.
This is the litmus test. This is the big test.
I did own an iPhone.
Oh, so you did own an iPhone?
Yeah, but I didn't.
Oh man, I'm trying to catch you out here, and
I actually got talked into buying it, but from my brother. And I didn't like it personally. It's not for me. So
okay, but you did buy it, and why would you buy it then in the first place? Initially, you must have been interested in it.
It was because I had the Sony Z1, the Xperia Z, and I had a couple of.
But the 4S was released before the Xperia Z. Yeah. In fact, probably the Xperia Z and now other phones probably took a lot of design elements from the iPhone 4 and 4S. Don't you think? I mean, I particularly, I didn't own the iPhone 4S like you. I don't fancy it much, but the design of the iPhone 4 and 4S was like a huge, what should I say, breakthrough in.
Very restricted. iPhones are very, very. For me, I don't know. They're very restricted. Like with with the Android platform, you can sort of like when you're setting up your phone, you don't need to be on Wi-Fi and stuff like. It's
True, very true.
You know, the way they work in the security.
Apparently, they've improved a lot of those kind of bottlenecks or obstacles that me and you have been facing over the years with them. I mean, talking about Wi-Fi, for example, just day before yesterday, I tried to download the iOS 8.1 update. It's an operating system update. It's like your Windows update. For those of you who might be thinking, what on earth is he talking about? On your Windows, you get a automatic update to improve the software, maybe to kill bugs and security fixes and stuff like that Microsoft gives you on your PC. Similarly, Apple does the same thing, and so does Google, for Android. So I tried to download it, and you're absolutely right. I could not download that file unless I was connected to Wi-Fi, even though I had a SIM in the device. I couldn't do it, so I had to then download iOS 8.1. The SIM that I had, the Apple device was using, iPhone 6 Plus, by the way. It's not mine. It's a phone that we use within our family. It's really my partner's. Despite that, I play around with it a lot. And, my partner doesn't really care what version of the OS it has on it. But I do, I take interest in having the latest technology on the devices in my home. So I tried to update it to iOS 8.1. The SIM card actually has unlimited data on there. So, her phone could really, get as much data and use as much internet as it likes. But Apple decided to say, no, we can't give you this update unless you're connected to Wi-Fi. And it assumes that when you connect to Wi-Fi, you're connected to a very fast speed, broadband fiber optic connection, which is silly because I don't have broadband at home. And all I did was I switched on my Android phone's Wi-Fi hotspot from its SIM card and got the iPhone to connect to my phone's internet, my other phone's internet, and then it was able to download it. So it was easily fooled into thinking that it was connected to a very good Wi-Fi connection. I'm assuming the reason why it insists that it has to be on Wi-Fi is because, it's a very large file. It's a 5.1 gigabyte file, which again, you say, I'm sure you'd be catching me straight away. You'd be saying, look, Brother Ahmed, when I get a Samsung app update, it's only 450 megabytes big, and it's true. I mean, I think recently some of the Nexus devices have been getting. I've got a Nexus 4 still lying about at home. It's kind of come to its end of its life. I've been abusing that one quite badly. The battery is so dead that I can't really use it without putting it on charge. But that gets an update. It got an update. It's a 450 megabyte. That's half a gig. So that's a huge difference compared to the iPhone 6 Plus getting a 5.1 gig file. So yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you. The too long, don't read TLDR version is. I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
Brother Adam. Apple devices can be a little bit restrictive, but boy, do they make good-looking devices.
They do. They do make good look. My brother recently got the iPhone 6. It looks sleek. It looks nice. The build quality is good as well.
Yes. There's no denying that.
You can't argue with that.
I went and got the iPad mini on that basis alone because it just looked so good. The form factor. I mean, I think the iPad mini is one of the best built Apple products that, ever designed by them. I've seen some of the other stuff. It is good, well made, but the iPad mini appealed to me for some reason. Honestly, I don't use it because I find tablets in general kind of, for me, they're obsolete for my use case scenarios. I think a lot of people can find a lot of utility for them and stuff like that. I'm sure they do. But for me, I'm either on my smartphone. If my smartphone cannot do something, I'm switched straight to my laptop, whatever that laptop is. I don't have a in-between product. But we have with us in the studio Mr. Producer, who himself, we are talking about an iPad and how I don't find any utility in them. He has flipped out his iPad mini, this slick black iPad mini, the first generation, I believe.
Yes, it is.
I see you shaking your head when I'm talking.
No, because I think with me, I'm on the completely opposite. I mean, with me, I think the tablet.
So you're an iPhone fanboy. You're an iBoy or an iSheep.
Let me just get one thing straight. Let me get one thing straight.
You just said you're on the opposite end of the
I'm the opposite. You don't feel what I'm saying. Firstly, I am nowhere an eye slave. Okay, I will never submit to an eye slave. Firstly, secondly, what I meant was the opposite was just the tablet form factor. So I mean,
go on, crawl yourself out of that one. Let me see how you do that.
With me, I mean, everything I do is on the tab now. I've got my phone in my pocket. I've got my laptop on my lap. I've got my PC where I do my video editing.
So where does your tablet fit in?
90% of the time, I'm on my tab. When if I'm watching the news on TV, for example, and the headline pops up, I will go onto Twitter and I will do my extra research while the news is on. I will do my extra research on that.
Fantastic.
I will have it. I will have it when I'm doing when I'm jotting down ideas.
Okay.
When I'm jotting down ideas for designs or anything, it's just there.
Tablet.
By the time I get my phone out, and obviously I've got the Note 3. By the time I get the stylus out,
you're the kind of guy who carries a rucksack around with you. You've got giant laptop in your backpack with you. You've got your tripod and your DSLR camera. So you're one of those guys who's always backpacking wherever.
All the more reason to have. All the more reason to have.
You're one of those road warrior geezers. So okay, it makes sense for you, I guess.
Kitted all the time.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably always moving with some heavy kit. It's interesting. It's good, don't you think, Brother Adam, that kind of we've got like a cross representation of all different types of, let's say, uses of technology and brands on the Techtalk program. Tell us a little bit about why you told me that you've got a upgrade coming up soon for your contract.
Yeah, I've got about 3 weeks. But like I said, when that upgrade comes, I'm looking to get hopefully the Z3.
Okay. Why the Z3? Because there are a couple of. I mean, the Z3 is still new. It's still a new device. I think it's only been 1 month since it got released, or a month and a half. But there have been some more newer models. In smartphone terms, 2 months can make a device quite old. Namely, the Galaxy Note 4 and say the Google Nexus 6. These are quite popular devices, especially you being a Note man, seeing that you've got the Note 3 and you had the Note 2.
With the Note,
why the Z3?
Z3 because with the Note 4 and the Note 3, I don't see that much of a big difference. I mean, obviously it's a UHD screen on the Note 4.
That's right.
So
what do you mean when you say UHD? I know a lot of people might not know.
It's like ultra thing is
high definition.
High definition screen. So the quality of the screen is apparently a lot better.
Now I'm a bit confused. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Maybe you can or you may not be able to help. What's the difference? A lot of people call it QHD, or some people call it UHD. What's the Q? They say Quad HD.
When I looked on site, it said UHD. You're right, and I did see QHD in some places as well. So
I think they might still be referring to the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
So I think it's the resolution on there. What is it? 2K? Other people call it like a 2K display.
Probably, I think so. I'm not too sure, but
so basically you're saying
with the Samsung, like the build quality, or like the Note 3 I've got. I mean, when you actually feel the phone, it's a good phone, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel like a 500 quid phone.
Don't feel
like the build quality, like this
it
back
doesn't
of the phone.
Exude that premium feel.
Yeah. It's like when I touched your Z3, it feels like a proper sleek and like high-end phone. You get what I'm trying to say? But with the Samsungs, although they are high-end phones, they don't really feel like that high end with the back
because of the materials that they use to build it.
Yeah.
But you do know now that the Note 4 not only has it got that QHD display that's about, it's also got a metal construction. So gone is the plastic that you feel around the sides and the faux metal actually painted plastic rim that you've got around the Note 3 and the Galaxy S5. And even starting with the S4, I think they had the same thing. That's gone now. They've got a real metal chassis on there. However, like you said, the back of the device is still plastic because, well, there's a reason why, and there's a very good reason why, because you can remove the back. If it was metal, I know some devices like HTC phones in the past that you could remove a metal back. There's ways of doing it and executing that quite well. But Samsung's decided to go with the plastic. I think it's better for dissipating heat generated from the processor and the battery. And they removed the back. Why? Because I'm guessing people. I've had a Samsung I've had more than one Samsung in the past. and you removed the back. I know we introduced our producer, kind of falsely presenting him as some sort of iSheep fanboy before having his iPad with him, but he's actually also a Note 3 user, and I know he's got a second battery for his Galaxy Note 3. Am I right in thinking that?
I've got. Let me run it down.
Correct me. Go on.
It's part of my backpack solution. I have 3 batteries, all three of them at 3200 milliamps.
This is your survival kit that you are giving us a rundown for. Yes. For those of you wearing your tinfoil hats, waiting for the end of times in Armageddon, take down these notes straight away, please.
A couple of baked beans as well, baked bean cans as well, some toilet tissue as well, just on the safe side.
Couple of bug rolls.
But I've also got a 4,200 milliamp battery as well. Wow. That's on as a backup, and that's actually in my car glove compartment that I keep.
Is that a Mugen or a Zero Lemon? What's the brand of that?
It's unbranded. NILH something.
Nilkin. Okay.
I also have a 12,000 milliamp backup battery, which I use to charge my iPad and my Galaxy Note 3 at the same time.
So this thing is actually a portable charger.
Yes.
Effectively, although it's quite big.
I charge as well, 50p an hour to charge anybody to make a bit of money on.
So it charges other devices. You've got to charge it up first.
But one thing I do want to make a note of what you said before. I mean, about the quality of the screen. I think technology is such a fast-moving pace industry. I mean, just yesterday I was checking out people that have rigged up their PCs and their machines, and they call them monsters and beasts, and rightfully so.
Beast machines.
They are rendering. I mean, 4K is not even out yet. There are TVs that have just come out, released in China, that are showcasing 4K.
Indeed.
Screens, and there are people already rigging up the machines for 5K. I mean, 5K.
5K. Is there even a resolution called 5K?
I mean, people are actually saying
because all people have ever heard of is HD and Full HD, 1080p.
1080p. Well, they've got a long way to catch up to get to 5K.
That's a lot of us, here. Okay, we've only heard of HD, and a lot of people don't know.
Saying, I mean, the quality. I mean, the thing is, I mean, it just goes to show that technology is something that is so fast moving, and there are people out there that are running and catching up with the train, and they are meeting those demands. I mean, there are consumers. These are not even professionals. These are consumers that are walking around with cameras that named like Red. I don't know if you heard of the company Red before.
Red. I wouldn't know.
These are cameras, and these are like Hollywood industry cameras, but these are made on consumer levels, and they shoot at 5K.
These are cameras that shoot 5K?
Cameras that
shoot 5K. Are they DSLR
5K.
cameras?
No, they're actually specifically made. They're video made, but they actually look like something from out of a Rubik's Cube gone wrong. That's like what it looks like. It looks like something from out of Pandora's utility box.
Sure.
It's really abstract in its design, but these are made for.
They're pretty big, I'm guessing. I'm assuming.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we're looking at about a terabyte of footage for every hour.
Oh wow!
And that's on compressed format. I mean, I don't even know what the raw footage of what size of the raw footage would be. But again, these are technologies that are coming to the phone, and you won't be surprised. Don't be surprised when you have these flexible screens and they fold out to be the size of a football pitch, so you can watch something with your friends and family like a projector.
Sure.
Because that's kind of the thing we're looking at. I mean,
so just to break this down a little bit, because this is like mind-boggling stuff. You're talking about 5K. People are still getting used to HD, which is 720p resolution. Then we got Full HD, which is 1080. And now you're talking about 4K video, and we're talking about 2K
5K.
display resolution on these phones from Samsung. I think there's another couple of brands that have done it as well, but they're not very well known. Samsung is the most well-known one that's done the 2K display. So just to put that in perspective, a lot of people do know what Retina display is, by the way, and that's your iOS, your iPhone. They call their resolution Retina. Now, Retina display, the current iPhone 6 is, I think, at a 720, roughly, not exactly,
That's that's just the front facing camera, isn't it? The 720.
No, I'm not even talking about the camera. That's just the display, the resolution of the display. 720. I don't think their front facing camera is HD on iPhones, unless they introduced it in the recent iPhone 6. I'm pretty sure the previous ones did not shoot in HD in the front anyway. And the iPhone 6 Plus, the big one, that's finally made it to the full HD batch of phones. So Apple finally has got a full HD display. Previously to that, they never had a full HD display, and that's quite interesting because a lot of people tell me that iPhone devices, their display is really, really sharp, and then they just cite Retina display. That's just a brand name, which means that it's not full HD. It's just a clever way of covering up the fact that this device does not have a full HD display. Starting with the HTC One M7, okay, the HTC One that was previously. Now they've got the HTC M8. They had full HD 1080p displays on them, and there were some devices that got full HD before even the HTC One M7. So we're talking about like a really, really dense pixel resolution here. Yeah. We're talking about 441 pixels per inch. That's the current Xperia Z3 pixel density. So I'm really shocked that technology is moving really, really fast. 5K is kind of crazy.
Technology is moving on. Time is also moving on.
But the question that your ordinary consumer is going to ask, and that's what this show is about, is, bro, it's all well and good. You're throwing us these numbers, 441, pixels per inch, Retina and QHD and whatnot. Seriously, do you need it to be that sharp? Surely the iPhone 4S was sharp enough. Surely the iPhone 5 and 5S were very sharp.
I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna
say, is it really of any use to anybody when it's that sharp?
When black and white photographs were being printed back in the days, everybody said, "Do we really need color?" And I think it's a step on from that, really. I mean, people
you see as an evolutionary step like that.
Yes, it is, and I think it's all good when it comes to all this innovation. When it comes to technology elements,
innovation.
I mean, it's all good. I mean, yes, it can consume one's mind, it can consume one's kind of focus, but at the end of the day, it's the direction that the world is going, and it's just that famous cliche, you either pick yourself up and you catch up with it, or you just get left behind.
Yeah, I'd agree with those people who say, "Oh, it doesn't matter, come on, past a particular, sharpness, your eyes really can't tell the difference if it's any sharper than that." Apple have been well known for citing their report saying, "Look, let me just finish this point." Yeah, they're very well known for citing facts. I say in inverted commas, because Apple are very good at bringing these types of studies to, let's say, satisfy the work that they're doing. And they said, beyond 320 pixels per inch, I correct myself there, the human eye can't actually see any difference, anything that is more sharper than that. And that is the Retina display sharpness.
I don't think it's an issue of whether you need it or not. It's an issue of you have no choice. Let me explain. I mean,
but I would even argue, Mr. Producer, that there is a big difference in that, and I think a lot of people who are honest and they compare side by side, they say, you know what, actually the 1080p display does look sharper than the 720 Retina display on the older iPhones.
That's clear and visible. Yes, I mean, I know you see myself.
But 4K is 2K. The Quad HD. That's a huge jump. And is it really justified? Can you see the difference? I think a lot of people are saying, like, go on. I was going to respond to that.
I was going to say, like I said, it's not an issue whether do you really need it. It's an issue for me anyway. Now, for everybody, is you're going to have to keep up with it, because I mean the only example I can give to that is I've got the old S2 Galaxy S2, the predecessor from the S1.
Yeah, I had that.
And now I can't even download half the apps that I could do on the S2 now, because it's saying that my phone isn't up to the specification. So I need to either get a new phone or I need to update my software, and there's only a certain limit of update I can do on the S2. So now the app because of the app that I want, I can't. That phone has become obsolete for me. So it's going
It
to
hasn't got the hardware to handle certain
so
apps.
it's going to. If you look at the same principle, there are going to be. I'm going to buy a TV screen, for example, and the minimum kind of criteria would be that it has to have, for example, 4K.
You're coming at it from a different angle than I would, and that's all fine. And I actually take your point on that. Don't you think, Brother Adam, that's, it's a fair point that, technology is moving in that direction, and it's a different angle again to how I would look at it. But he's saying, look, you got to keep up with it. Hardware will become made obsolete. That's how these tech companies make their money. They keep us interested. They might even sell us something that isn't really even that useful, as is being argued by a lot of people who are saying, well, why do you need a 4K video footage, or why do you need a display that is UHD? He's saying, look, you got to catch up. And I guess he's absolutely right in the sense that that's what we all said when Apple went and said, you know what, you don't need a keyboard anymore. It's all going to be done on the touch screen. And we said, no way, that's just, that is so backward. I mean, why would we do that? Buttons are great.
Technology is moving very fast, but with the phone...
But look at the world now. I mean, everybody's now got touchscreen
phones, yeah, but can you really keep up with technology? You ask yourself that question because you buy a phone that's come out, and then so quickly you get another phone that's coming out. Obviously, everyone wants the best. And
if I was a Sony fanboy, I would keep this a secret. But I'm not a Sony fanboy, and this is something I do not like about Sony. And I'm going to say it on air that you're absolutely right. They keep outdoing themselves. Sony are worst offenders when it comes to this because they release a new top-end phone every 6 months. Every 6 months. So, you had this Xperia Z. 6 months later, they introduced the Xperia Z1. And then the Z2 6 months later. And then after that, the Z3. And we're already expecting and hearing leaks and getting pictures of parts from the Xperia Z4, which hasn't been released yet. So, it's kind of like, it makes you kind of disappointed that,
exactly,
that, look, I just bought this device and it's already getting old within 6 months.
And even with the Samsung, you get like the Samsung S that comes out. Samsung S5 came out last year. You get the the Samsung Note that comes out. Plus they got another one. I think the Samsung
I thought even
Ultra or something they had come out.
Samsung have been doing so many. They've got the Galaxy Mega, the Galaxy Note series. They've got the Galaxy S series. They've got the Ace series, Mini series. I mean, they've got so many phones, so many lines just for their phone, market. So, this is a way that these corporate organizations, these commercial companies, this is what they do. This is how they make money. So, I think the point we're trying to get to eventually is, you can't really keep up with technology. If you do, then you'll be, paying through your nose just to stay at the front end of technology, really. And there's nothing wrong with your Xperia Z3, Brother Ahmed. When the Z4 comes out, you can still use your Z3. There's nothing wrong with it at all. So it's a kind of like this, OCD that you have to have the latest
one that comes out,
and that's why it's good. I know what our Mr. Producer is saying. We shouldn't waste our time and our money on this. This is a very good, moral argument, and definitely dangerous when you make this a hobby that you spend money on. So then that's when you stack of notes to read from. So off the top of my head, one of the main things that stood out for me, which should stand out for everybody really, because the main complaint a lot of smartphone users out there, especially our producer has already demonstrated, is battery life problems. And he's carrying a spare battery for his Samsung device. And Samsung devices, especially the Note series that he's got, tend to have good battery life. But it proves again that some of us power users who really work our phones for every need that we have, we still need more battery power. We still need more power. We still ain't got enough power. So he's got a spare battery. He's got another giant, say portable battery to power even those additional power blocks. So it's not actually that big at all. Sorry, I'd apologize. It's really small. I do apologize. That looks rather small. He did show me this the other day, and I just forgotten all about it. I'm just looking at it here in my hand. So it's got 2 USB ports out to charge your mobile devices. It charges.
So what does this do?
iPhones, iPads. It charges your Android devices as well. So you just connect to your Note 3. He's just demonstrating for us live on air as to how this portable charger would work. So you charge that up at home. That block, it's a small block. It fits easily within the hand. It's smaller than the phone, but it's just a lot thicker than the phone. That's all.
So this will be charged
at home,
and then that's got the power then to
give you about 2 or 3 charges. I'm guessing 4 charges to the Galaxy Note 3, and that's a lot of power because the Galaxy Note 3 has got a really big battery in there. And you need a lot of power to charge the Galaxy Note 3. So that's cool. So I mean, we need more power.
It's quite handy to have, isn't it?
It's very handy. But Android Lollipop apparently brings some serious improvements to battery life. We heard yesterday, or was it on Tuesday?
It's on Tuesday, actually.
One of our co-hosts was quite. He was quite. He was quite not boasting. He was bragging how good his Nexus 5 has become.
Bragging. He was quite chirpy.
He was chuffed.
He charged his phone 100% before he left work in the morning.
Yeah.
By the time he
finished work.
I mean, by then, it's the case with every smartphone, really. You're either kind of like trying to plug it in for the last half an hour before you finish work to get the last 10% home so you can get that bit of journey time home. But he was left with like over 50% battery left, and he was surprised.
And this is the same phone that he had. Same phone that he had, and this is just
prior. And he had this problem prior to his update. After the update, he was getting
very good battery life.
50% battery for half.
Yeah, I mean, Google are advertising Android Lollipop to improve the battery life by 30%. So they're not even saying it will give you half as more battery life. They're saying 30% more battery life, and that does translate into 2 or 3 hours longer battery, and that can make a big difference for a lot of people. So battery life has been a concern. Android Lollipop seeks or intends to address those battery life issues. They've called it Project Volta. This is their war, Google's war on poor battery life, and this is mostly to do with optimizing the operating system, tweaking the actual software to not be so heavy on the battery drain. So it's really good to see Android Lollipop address that issue. I think a lot of people will be definitely very pleased to know that's been improved. A couple of other things they've done. They've changed the user interface, so it actually looks different to how Android Lollipop looks now, and it will definitely look different to your Samsung devices, by the way. So Lollipop has got a new, clean, more brighter, more whitish look to it. It isn't quite iOS style the way you find on your iPhones, which I find is a little bit of overkill because almost all the apps look the same on iPhone now, whether it be iMessages, whether it be your email app, whichever one you open, even if you open up your gallery, had it not been for the thumbnails or the pictures, the actual user interface of the app looks exactly the same as your messages app as well as your email app, right? So it's not as white like that. There's still a lot more color, there's still a lot more shadows left. It's not all fully flat, but it's a lot more flatter than before. It does make it finally bring Android on par with iOS because now Android 5 is 64-bit ready. So depending on the hardware that you have, Android 5 can run optimized for 64-bit speeds. Okay, so just on the question of battery life, should I run off some stats as to who the top battery life phones are, because some of our consumers are not interested in how many milliamp hours are there, how many thousand, they just want to know, okay, what's the good phone for battery life? I'm not an iPhone fanboy, I'm not an Android fanboy, I just need a phone that can last me the whole day. And we are coming up to the end of our program, so we need to wrap it up. So there's a good phone out there that's mentioned here, but I'm not going to talk about those phones because some of them are not available in the UK. They do have excellent battery life, though. You can get this phone. It's a Huawei phone, SN Mate 2. It's not very popular. It's a Chinese build, but they make other products that you don't even know you have in your home. Say, for example, they make some of your wireless routers and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, this brand has got a very good a phone that has got excellent battery life. It's a giant phone, 6.1 inches of HD display. That's got a really good battery life. For example, it can give you 11 hours and 26 minutes of screen on time.
Okay.
The screen on time is important because that's really the thing that's killing your battery. that big screen, that bright screen. That's what really drinks your battery from your phone. So these guys, whoever they are, they've measured the battery life and they've looked at the Huawei SN Mate. Let's come to some of the more commonly known devices. Here we have a Sony device. Again, it's not very well known because most people buy Samsungs when it comes to Android. But this is a Sony. It's quite a good looking phone. It's called the Xperia T2 Ultra. And this phone, okay, it's quite slim, but it is a big phone. But it gives you... how many hours? I think 10 hours of screen on time. All right, but it is a big phone. I think it's another 6-inch device. I'm not exactly sure. Here comes a very interesting contender. We have in third place the Sony Xperia Z3 Compact. The Xperia Z3 Compact is actually as big as your iPhone 4S. Those of you who can remember that far back. So the Xperia Z3 Compact is a very nice phone. It's got the glassy front, glassy back. It's got a micro SD card, but it has a 10-hour screen on time battery life. You might be thinking, where's the iPhone? Where's the Galaxy phones? The ones that most people go ahead and buy. Well, we've got a Nokia here, which nobody probably buys. No offense to our Windows fanboys. I know there is a few of you out there somewhere in the woods. Don't get offended. Call us on 07477 080 248 to fire us, give us a flame war, no problem. We'll be willing to hear your views. Again, we've got the Sony Xperia Z3. So you can see that some of the Sony phones are right at the top there with the battery life. So if you're asking yourself, what's a good phone for battery life? Get some of these Sony phones. This is the Xperia Z3, the one that I've got. It comes up with, according to the test that these guys have run, it comes up with something like 9 hours and, I can't remember the full, 9 hours and 45 minutes of battery life, screen on time. Then you've got another Sony phone. Oh my God, I'm just going to skip that. The Sony phones basically are in the top end. Then comes another Huawei, which people probably don't know about, but that is an excellent phone. Have you guys seen this phone?
Is that the
This is the Mate 7. That is a superb phone.
Can you just remind me the size of the screen on that first?
That is a 6-inch display, and it has a 4,100 milliamp hour battery in there. And let's put that in perspective. I think the iPhone has, the regular iPhone 6 has got 2,300 or 2,600.
The Note 3 has 3,200
milliamp hours, and this is the 4,100 milliamp hour, 1,000 milliamps more than your big boy Note 3. Surprising not to see any higher up the rankings in the battery life there.
There is one more phone. I'm just wondering if it's still going to be there.
Have a guess. Go on. Oh, some more Sonys are showing up. Another Sonys.
It's an unknown name one, actually. It's relatively new, but it's competing with the big guns out there at the moment.
Are you talking about the OPO?
I am indeed.
The one.
The
plus. The one. The 1+1. Nobody knows about this 1+1. And nobody cares because it's hard to buy. So it's a very good phone. Again, I think it's a 5.5 inch display.
Can you explain to us when you say it's hard to buy? I mean, I've got the cash. I want to buy it.
All right, listen.
What do you mean by that?
I will talk to you about that. But let's just finish off this league table here. The Samsung Galaxy Note 4 finally making a entry. Samsung here with some very, very good battery life. It managed 8 hours and 43 minutes on this test done by these guys here at phonearena.com. So you can check out the full references there. You can actually create your own chart by putting in the name of your phone or a phone that you're interested in buying, and you can see where your phone comes in the rankings. And this is the rankings. So Galaxy Note 4 comes quite a few steps after some of the Sonys and some of the Huaweis. I don't want to mention the Huaweis because a lot of people can't buy them, and you can get the SN Mate 7, the one we just talked about earlier. Now it is available in the UK. You can get it directly from Huawei, I think. We've got LG G2. A lot of people have got LGs. LG made the Nexus 4, LG made the Nexus 5, LG made the LG G2, of course, and the LG G3. So there you go. These guys have got this phone that's up there, and I'm just looking for, these are unknown Alcatel, for example, another Sony. Oh my goodness. Where are the rest of the, where's the iPhone? Motorola. Yeah, Motorola are pretty good with their phones. Battery life, that's the Motorola Moto E, I believe. It's not even the G, it's the Motorola Moto E, which is an even cheaper version of the Motorola G.
What's the Motorola? Which one is in?
Yeah, the Samsung.
Which one is the one that's
Galaxy
not?
Note 3.
Which one is the one that's not going to be sold in the UK? Was it the Motorola Z or something? Wasn't it?
Motorola
I think they're not going to.
Droid Turbo.
That's the one.
That's the one. Yeah, that is actually the leader of this
chart.
chart. Yeah, that beats every phone on this chart basically.
So why not introducing it to the UK then?
I don't know what's up with Motorola. Motorola used to be an American company. They've been recently bought out by Lenovo, a Chinese company. And we're reading some of this stuff from a Lenovo a laptop in front of us. I don't know why. They haven't got much. I mean, they're selling Moto X, for example, their other phone here. They're also selling the Moto 360 smartwatch, which, you know, we reviewed here on for you on Techtalk on Middle Path Radio last week. So I really don't know. I think that what it is, the Droid Turbo is actually a branded phone exclusive to Verizon, which is America's biggest network provider. They call it carrier out there in America, okay? I think if you check your iPhone and you go to your settings, you'll find where it says T-Mobile or EE or Vodafone or 3, you'll find it says carrier there because it's still American, your iPhones, guys. So so it's an exclusive. Droid Turbo is actually an exclusive to Verizon. That's why it doesn't sell outside of. I mean, it doesn't even sell in America through any of the other network providers there. There is an internationally branded version, but I've heard that it's still not going to be coming to Europe. It's still in other parts of America, South America, namely Brazil, Mexico. They will be getting that device. I really don't know what's up with that. I haven't found any answers.
Part of the marketing strategy.
It could be because Motorola is kind of moving away from. This could be one of their old devices they had planned before Motorola was bought out by Lenovo. Some of their, like for example, the former Moto X, the first generation Moto X, it never got released in the UK. Eventually, it did come, but it was already 1 year late, and by that time, people were buying newer devices. Moto X kind of wasn't the in device at the time. You talked about OnePlus One. The OnePlus One is in the rankings right here. After the Galaxy Note 4, after the Galaxy Note 3 Neo, we have the OnePlus One.
I want one. How do I get one?
Okay. It's hard to get because you have to. Well, actually, right now it's improved slightly. The way this OnePlus One is a small company, it's a new company. This is their first phone. It is again a Chinese company, and they are a small. I think they're a subsidiary of another Chinese company called Oppo, OPPO, not OPO. So these guys and their devices are nearly identical, but their devices are the OnePlus One, namely, is very, very affordable.
Plus, their flagship standard.
Yeah, I mean, it's got 3 gigs of RAM in there. It's got 32 gigabyte storage card in there. It's got the full HD 1080p display in there. It's got the near latest or second latest Snapdragon 801 processor in there. It's a quad-core processor.
I believe it's also got the fingerprint identification.
This one doesn't have the fingerprint scanner on this. No. This is a few months old now. So this one does not have it. But the Huawei SN Mate 7 that you were talking about, the 6-incher with the big giant 41, that's got a fingerprint scanner. In fact, it's been reported to be a better fingerprint scanner than the one on the iPhones that we've got right now. So that's the Huawei SN Mate 7. But on the OnePlus One, it's a small company, and like you said, it's got the highest end spec in there for dirt cheap price. And the parts that are used has been checked. They are still the same parts used in your Sonys, in your Samsung. So they're good parts. They're not very cheaply, what's the word I'm looking for? Accured or how do you, curated products from substandard, manufacturers. No, they are the same products. So the graphics card is the Adreno 330 chip in there, the same one that's in the Xperia Z3 and your Note. I don't know if it's in the Note, to be honest with you. But anyway, you get my point. So a lot of people, there's a huge demand for this phone, and this small company knows that it can't meet that demand. This is their first phone, and they haven't got the manufacturing prowess as some of the big boys like Apple and Samsung have got, with factories up and down different parts of the world. So for that reason, they are only producing a select number of limited handsets. And if they opened it up to everybody to buy, they'd be in big trouble, because people would be upset and sales would go wrong. They would have promised devices to people that they actually can't deliver to, because they've only got a few thousand. I think they've sold a maximum of, I think they're aiming for 1 million. I'm not sure if they've actually sold 1 million yet. I've read some news about that.
That's not a lot considering
how many iPhones they get sold over the weekend. I think 10 million in one weekend only. Okay, so just 2 days, Apple sells 10 million. And that's just in America, I think, or just in the UK, I can't remember. So that's not even taken into consideration the rest of the world where Apple sells, okay? So, yeah, it's a drop in the ocean when you compare it with the rest of the big boys. Even Samsung sell several million when they come out. So over these few months, Oppo or OnePlus One has been trying to sell these off. And the way they sell it is through invites. The way a person gets it is you have to go and sign up to their forum, their website, and you've got to kind of be active on their on that board, messaging board. You've got to be kind of commenting and giving your views, asking questions, and
basically
begging for an invite.
Basically, you got to be sucking up. Okay, I can do that.
So you're just gonna go there and say, I love OnePlus One. Please send me one in. I really want to test it. And
I've never held it in my hand, but I know it's gonna be like gold holding in my hands.
Yeah, it's better than the iPhone. You're gonna say stuff like that. No, I'm only kidding. You just got to go on their forums and say. You just be visible and active on their forums, ask for an invite, and what they will do is they'll add you. There is a specific thread where you go on there and you ask for an invite, and what they do, they'll add you to a list. There's a huge backlog, but people are getting some invites. I know personally, even within my family, say for example, one of my brothers, he's got a OnePlus One. Through a friend he knew. So once you get an invite from OnePlus One, then you, a customer, can then invite another person. So that's basically their 1+1, kind of motto happening right there. So yeah, you got to get an invite. Now they have opened up to pre-orders, because I think they've improved a little bit on their manufacturing, and they've taken a lot of stick from the consumers, especially the tech community, who, like us, who love. I'm not going to consider myself a techie, but who love technology in general. Are looking at this device. They want this lovely screen. They want this slim body. They want this big battery. They want this what's it called? The 3 gigs of RAM. A lovely, I think, a 13 megapixel camera in there. So people are looking for this device, and they're unhappy that they can't get their hands on it.
I think for the next batch of orders, I think they're going to have to up the game a little bit more than that, because we're looking at.
People are moving on already. People are already moving on.
So they need to up the game. Maybe sticking another gig RAM in there.
They're making their money even at the small rate that they are selling, the slow rate that they are selling it at, because consider they're just a small startup, and they've done a pretty fine job of doing. They have had some boo-boos and glitches where people have complained that they're not upholding their warranty and so on and so forth, because they're a smaller company and they're kind of far away from where you are. But you can reach them. They are available online. They do communicate with you. They do not like the bad publicity, so definitely get in touch with them if you do want one. They have opened up pre-orders. I think there's one going live again sometime this month, maybe in the next day or two. I can't remember, unless it's already been live yesterday or something like that. So yeah, go follow their forums if you really want one of those OnePlus One devices. And like you said, Mr. Producer, if they want people to take notice of them, they have to sort out this order process in the future, and it's got to be a better device next time round. I mean, how would you improve on the OnePlus One? From looking at it right now, brother Adam, I mean, looking at this OnePlus One, there it is. It's a plastic construction. I mean, what would you do to improve that? How would you make it more appealing for the next generation of the OnePlus One?
They need to get away from I think, personally, I think they need to get away from this whole Samsung fake leather back. I think that's going to be their main killer. Yeah, I think if they mimic anything what Samsung's doing, then they're going to be shooting themselves in the own feet by doing that.
Right, this is not leather back, but it is still a plastic back. What would you see as an improvement on that? Because I'll tell you, I mean, how much does it cost?
I can't really see.
That's the back of the device.
That's just the back of the device, yeah.
Yeah. I can get you other views for that. device.
What's the camera on it? Do you know?
It's 13 megapixel
13,
camera.
The camera's not. It's not a bad camera to start off with.
How
anyway,
could you
is it?
improve on that device? Exactly.
I mean, a lot of the high-end phone now, they got like 12, 13
Yeah,
megapixel cameras.
that's right.
I mean, it looks quite, quite sleek as it is, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah, it's a nice looking device. So that's why it's very popular and there's high demand for this device. And it runs.
I mean, what can you do to actually?
Cyanogen mod.
Doesn't look like a bad looking phone.
So I think some people will say, they don't like the plastic, like our producer
Yeah,
saying,
the plastic.
try to go for a metal build or a glass construction.
But I think if you're like, depends on how much they're selling it, isn't
Exactly.
it? That's the
They're
thing.
selling- I think it costs about £200. Do you know the actual price? I know my brother got a hold of
I think it was
a
£300.
I think it was less than that.
Was it £300?
Yeah, it was less than that. Definitely less than £300.
I mean, it makes sense if it is that.
I think it was something like £200, bro. Max 250.
Really,
Yeah.
for that spec.
For that phone, yeah. That's why it's it's really high in demand.
If that is the price, and I can see the.
I'm pretty sure it's £200.
I can see the thinking behind it. I mean, I got the. EE have rebranded it now. They call it the Kestrel now.
Yeah.
And when I first got it, I thought this is a premium phone in my hand. It looks the biz. It feels the biz.
Which phone is that?
The Kestrel, the Huawei, what do you call it?
G6.
G6, I think it was, yes.
Yeah.
And the price that I got it for, I was absolutely shocked. I actually thought they made a mistake charging me so less. But it's only because that some of the materials they use, they did cut corners when it comes to some of the materials. But for that price, you can't really complain. I'll get it out. It's in my bag.
Serious. Get it out. Let me see. Take a look at this
Oh,
device.
you just got it on you.
So how many phones do you have, Mr. Producer? I see you've got
I think
the
Mr.
S2.
Producer's like
He's a
kind
phone
of
addict,
secretive.
man. Yeah, he's a phone
Very
addict. He's got so many secrets that come. I'm trying to look at get a price on this OnePlus One. It says here, the OnePlus One smartphone has killer features to rival the Samsung Galaxy S5, Sony Xperia Z2, the HTC One, and the LG G3, and other flagship Android devices. Yet it costs less than half the price at a super budget, 229 English pounds. So I wasn't far off with that price. 229. I mean, what smartphone with that kind of spec can you buy? That's without contract. That's the full price of the phone.
That's just the full price of the phone.
That's the full price of the phone. No contract involved. SIM
That's
free.
just buying the phone up route. I mean, that's quite a good.
That's a very good price.
Good
£229 for that device. So there's not much you can really improve on that device. Obviously, when technology improves, there's already a faster processor out. I think it's a Snapdragon 810. Okay, people don't understand the difference between these, but it apparently translates into faster usage of your phone. Apps open faster, load faster, that kind of thing. You can do a bit better multitasking. Battery life is better improved on some of these newer chips. They can probably throw in another 4th gig of RAM, especially with Android 5 now becoming 64-bit ready. So that 64-bit operating systems can actually make use of much higher amounts of RAM. That's why when a lot of people complain, they said, iPhone's gone to become a really 64-bit operating system, but it's only got 1 gig of RAM. 64-bit processors are really good when you can make use of high amounts of RAM. Okay, and RAM is used for multitasking, and iPhones are not known for multitasking. In fact, they are quite the opposite. They eschew multitasking.
It's same with the other.
They try to keep it simple. That's their philosophy.
It's the same with the other Apple products. I mean, if we move away from the phones, for example, even with the MacBook Pros and all the G5s, for example, I mean, yes, you can upgrade on the RAM, which is not a problem, but Apple, they put a glass ceiling when it comes to the speed of the RAMs. You can't.
But I don't blame them. Their operating system runs perfectly fast and
for that
smooth
speed
with just 1 gigabyte of RAM. So you got to give credit to Apple for optimizing their software to such an extent that it doesn't rely on supercharged, hardware like 4 gigs of RAM and
basically it's another way of saying
8 cores.
It's another word of kind of excluding the third party.
What it does mean is they've done a very good job, and you're paying a lot more for cheaper internals. That's all it means. I mean, it's credit to Apple for pulling that off. But you do know, in a business sense, they are charging their customers a premium for 1 gigabyte of RAM. So those of you guys who build PCs out there would understand that, okay, if I get 4 gigs of RAM, it will cost more than buying 1 gig of RAM. Or nowadays, it's like I can get 16 gigs of RAM, I can get 32 gigs of RAM, or whatever. The higher the amount of RAM that you go for, the higher number of cores in your processor that you go for, the more expensive that piece of kit's going to be. So it's good that Apple's operating system can run on the lower end hardware, but that should also translate to lower buying prices for the customer. And I'm always talking from, again, the consumerist point of view. I'm campaigning for you and me, the individual who's paying an arm and a leg for these kind of devices. They have to be able to say, look, you know what, if you're just using 1 gig of RAM, how come you're charging as much as the guy who is giving them guys 4 gigs of RAM? Yes, that 4 gig is useless because their software needs 4 gig to run. Well, it's not fair anymore because Android can actually run on half a gig of RAM, especially with Lollipop. These are some of the optimizations they've done. And Android phones are generally still 2 gigs. Android phones, they're not really 4 gig. But I'm just giving you extreme case scenarios here, the argument an iPhone user could make. But he should still be making, he or she should still say, doesn't matter even if it's so smooth and works lovely on 1 gig of RAM. I should be paying for only 1 gig of RAM. That's the way I should be looking at it. You know, yeah, sure, it's great, it works smooth. But why are you charging me as much as the guys who are paying for, you know, a truck?
That's a question a lot of iSlave should be asking, which they're not
asking.
now.
Sorry,
was I speaking aloud?
Speaking out loud again.
I'm thinking out loud there, sorry. But yeah, I mean, then there needs to be some kind of national or international kind of revolution.
On that point,
Apple.
since we are bashing Apple, I'd like to bring in another story. And we do like to bash whoever deserves it. In this case, Apple does deserve it because Apple's all about, and especially a lot of the customer base. I do respect. I love you guys very much. You bring entertainment to my life. So I mean, they keep telling me, you know, iPhones are made with more premium quality materials. You know, it's expensive stuff. You know, they're proud to have spent more money, given away more of their hard-earned money to a company for what they describe as very high-quality materials. Little do they know that the 128 gigabyte iPhone 6 Plus, which is quite a good thing, actually. I mean, the fact that Apple has released a 128 gigabyte iPhone 6, because my phone 16 gigabytes, that's like paltry and embarrassing. But you have to pay about £1,000 or 700 and something English pounds. Sorry, I'm converting dollars here. You know, for that 128 gigabyte phone. For £750 you can get a MacBook Air, maybe an older generation MacBook Air. All right, I mean, a phone does not justify that kind of price. And I can put 128 gigabyte SD card into my phone and have more than 128 gigabyte plus 16, right? So, you know, and I can get it for 30 or 40 pounds. And my phones, it was on sale from Amazon, by Amazon for 420 pounds, no contract, right? So add another 50 pounds on top of that for 128 gigabyte. I'm still paying less than 500 pounds for a 128 gigabyte device. So that particular high quality Apple premium build, you know, construction material, blah blah blah, that device apparently has had a lot of issues. That 128 gigabyte model has been crashing, has been freezing and dying, losing the data of a lot of the people who bought that. There's not many, because not everybody pays that much for an iPhone even. But a few guys who have bought it, they've complained that this thing is, you know, also very slow. And some research has come out from a Korean company who's done tests between the 128 gigabyte version and the regular the 32 gigabyte and 64 gigabyte versions of the iPhones. They've confirmed through benchmarks and other tests that they've done that actually the hardware, the SD card or the storage card in the 128 gigabyte version is a really poor quality, bad piece of hardware in there. And that's why it crashes. That's the piece of hardware that is causing the crash and the sudden death that some of the customers are complaining about. So my question again comes back: why am I better? It's the fact that they claim they're getting really expensive, really high quality, some of the best premium materials, when actually Apple is cutting corners here. And the funniest thing is they're cutting corners on the most expensive item on their line of products.
Well, you know what they say, don't you?
What do they say?
What you don't see, you don't know.
That's right. There's other sayings like that, man. Some good ones. Anyways, I know Brother Khabbab, if he were here, he would be quoting me and saying, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. That's not my quote. It's convenient not to see these things sometimes. And that's the problem, that we try to redress that balance, because I don't believe it that they are using higher quality materials. What they do is a fantastic job of making low quality materials feel and look super premium. There's no denying it. They make some very good looking devices. In fact, probably some of the best looking devices I've ever seen. And that's one of the reasons why I go out and get their iPads and stuff like that. But they're cheap materials. And there's extensive evidence actually to support this. More than one study has proven that the materials that Apple uses in their iPhones actually cost a lot less to buy for Apple than their competitors like Samsung and Nokia, for example. But they're charging you more than a Samsung device. But what that shows you, sorry to interrupt you again repeatedly, what that shows you is Apple is making huge profits because they're buying the stuff real cheap, they're selling it really high, and their competitors are buying it quite expensive. No, okay, more expensive, not quite expensive, more expensive than Apple, and they are selling it for less than Apple. Although that trend is changing now, they are also charging quite a lot of money.
You know what your diehard fan, iFan's going to say to that?
What the iBoy's going to say?
It looks good. So what if they make a bit of money on top?
I've heard to the extent some people say, look, even if it don't look good, like this giant iPhone that they've made, the one that they used to laugh at, the Samsung users calling it, why are you talking to your tablet for? Your phone's like a brick. Now the brick phone by iPhones come out, it doesn't look so great to me, I'll be honest with you, especially the back. Even now, they've moved away from saying, it's not about the looks, it's about the brand. It's about the fact that it's an Apple device.
At least
they can say, I own an Apple device.
Well, at least, okay,
they've admitted it.
They've admitted it, and I appreciate
it's all about that little Apple logo.
Yeah. At least I appreciate the honesty. If that's the case, then the honesty goes a long way.
You can't argue with that.
No,
Once you've got somebody saying, look, it doesn't really matter what they're selling me. I'm willing to pay that kind of money just for the brand.
That just actually sets the...
kind of makes our argument for us.
No, I mean, I'm still gonna welcome them with open arms, and I'm gonna say, come on, test out the Android.
Yeah.
I think it's conversion time.
Definitely, and a lot of people are converting. A lot of people have converted, and we welcome that. We like open-mindedness, and if there is this fanboyism, as there is when it comes to a lot of Samsung devices, especially I found there are even some Windows fanboys out there. We love technology. If there's something good, say it how it is. If there's something going wrong, call it out for what it is as well.
Okay, there is. I know we've gone over the time limit that we meant to be.
I can be here all day,
my
brother. We can make Lollipop Radio a 24/7 tech show
if needs be. But you know what? Following the topic that we've been talking about the iSlaves and the copycats and things like that. I mean, I got to talk about this another company that's been recently sold and bought by another company.
Amen.
And, you know what? It's just showing hallmarks of Apple. Somebody they've taken Apple as their role model, and they're just trying to.
Who on earth are you exactly referring to?
Nobody. Whatsup?
Whatsup?
What has WhatsApp?
Yeah, I've said it.
To do WhatsApp.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Okay, let's take that story. Actually, WhatsApp. Here we go. Well, actually, WhatsApp has become one of the most secure messaging platforms on Android, to be specific.
Can you reread that? Can you reread that?
It says here, WhatsApp has suddenly become one of the most secure messaging platforms on Android, at least, because they haven't introduced this security to iOS version of their app. I'm sure they're working on it and will be released very soon for you iOS toting brothers and sisters out there. So, what do you mean that they, you mentioned something about copying. I don't understand what you're referring to there, to be honest with you.
Okay, copying, security didn't really bother them before, was it? I mean, it was all open game for them, really, wasn't it? They used to They used to take information, sell it, and
And
they used to do whatever they wanted.
then eventually bought by who? A very
very well-off person.
by a company that we know, even if we don't know his name, the name of the CEO. We're talking about Facebook. Facebook bought WhatsApp, and they're not very well. In fact, they're known for being criticized when it comes to security.
And I mean, don't just take our word for it or my word for it about Facebook's lack of security.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would you go look for people that are in the media? We have people that are on the run for revealing these kind of secrets, these gaps in security.
Indeed.
People like Snowden, and there's other whistleblowers out there that are exploiting and exposing, should I say.
That's interesting. There's another story. We will come to that, and I totally agree with you. Let's talk about WhatsApp while you're on it. So they didn't have encryption before. WhatsApp never really encrypted the messages that were being shared between people. And as soon as Facebook bought out WhatsApp, I moved away from WhatsApp. Not because I'm a fanboy of any other group or I'm a hater or anything. I just kind of value my privacy, to be honest with you.
To be honest, I mean, I had WhatsApp, but then I noticed...
and I moved to Telegram. I'm saying it on air right now.
I mean, previously you mentioned about me having my spare battery. One of the main reasons why I had got a spare battery in the first place, because my battery was really, really draining, and I couldn't understand why a brand new phone. I exchanged my phone twice because of this, and I couldn't understand why the battery was draining so rapidly. I wouldn't go 4 hours without it going down to 20% after a full charge. It's only when, out of curiosity, I just thought, let me just uninstall and re-uninstall my apps that I had. It might be a software issue, something that I used to do back in the days when my computer fixing days. And that's when I noticed that WhatsApp used to drain my battery.
So you uninstalled WhatsApp and you noticed a big improvement in battery.
A massive improvement in my battery life.
I've heard that from a number of people, to be honest with you. WhatsApp apparently drains the battery. And a lot of people that I know, a lot of brothers that I used to send messages to on WhatsApp, never used to reply to me until it was like 2 days later. And I was like, bro, you're a bit late. I said, well, actually, I don't have my WhatsApp turned on. I just manually sync it to go and find the messages, and then I reply to them at that time. So why? Because he said, well, because if it's on regular sync, i.e. like a push message, it comes to me instantly as you send it. It notifies me then my battery life really, really gets
and then there was this whole well, it's not really a scare, it's a true fact, where one of the updates that WhatsApp released was that they obviously, when you download the app, they ask for whether you give them permission to do certain things on your phone, and that is to access your contacts, access certain files on your phone. And if you do, I mean, I actually got the picture on my phone. If you read the small print, the terms and condition, it actually tells you that they will record without asking your permission.
Now, WhatsApp and Facebook, and they're not the only offenders when it comes to this. Google is actually especially well known for this kind of anti-privacy behavior.
But I think
whether they're being malicious, is a different question.
With the data,
they would argue that they actually need those permissions in your phone in order to give you the service that they're offering, and especially Google does offer some very good services.
Why would anybody want to access film, take a recording or audio or video without?
I'll give you an example. I can explain that. I mean, their response will be, well, when you send a voice message via WhatsApp, and you press that mic button and then you talk into the thing and it goes. I don't know if that works in WhatsApp. Is that how it works in WhatsApp?
Voice note.
Yeah, voice note. When you send one of those, the app needs to have the permission to access your microphone to be able to record your voice. That's all it means. Similarly, when you take a picture of yourself, WhatsApp sends attached image, and then there's an option to use your video camera to send a picture of yourself. The app needs to be given the permission by you. To actually to send a message like that, a picture like that. So some of those permissions are absolutely necessary, and that's the sad thing. I'm afraid, users, consumers across the board are having to make that kind of compromise. And the question is about trust. you are happy to give away these kinds of permissions to organizations that you know will not abuse your trust. Unfortunately, Facebook is not one of those guys who are very good at that, and nor is Google, because they're constantly selling you adverts and they're trying to resell your information onto third-party, agencies out there. So, but there are ways to make it secure. Google offers you two-step authentication, methods and stuff like that to kind of make it a bit more secure. But even Google does not offer you encryption. iMessages, on the other hand, does offer you end-to-end encryption. I'm not sure if there's a new update of theirs, but iMessages is secure.
iMessage on the Apple?
On Apple phones, that's right. However, we do know that is just only one layer of security. This kind of security doesn't even stop you from being abused, your privacy being abused, or your data being stolen. And unless this was before the update, because I've only read recently in some of the reports by these security analysts, they've claimed that they have been able to get access into the phones and iMessages of different people who are in court being tried for different offences, whatever they were, and these security analysts were called to go and assist whatever FBI or whoever they were to actually obtain the contents of their iMessage, and they were still able to do it. Now, I'm guessing it's possible that there's a new update that's made it encrypted. I'm hoping that's the case. Otherwise, this encryption means nothing if if it's being used in a court of law and they're able to obtain exactly to the extent the guy was saying. He wrote an entire blog on this, that even if you don't send an iMessage, you save it as a draft and then you delete the draft, it still stays in your metadata or whatever cache or something like that. And he said, I was still able to obtain all of the draft iMessages and use that in a court of law. And they were able to bring convictions on those draft iMessages against some people that they've convicted. So,
I mean, you've got your die-hard kind of people that want their kind of security element to it. But
encryption is good. Encryption is good because
it's good.
Tim Cook came out saying that he's the CEO of Apple. He said that even he and his staff cannot see what your messages are, and if there was a request by the authorities, as it were, to disclose the data between these iMessages, they would be able to say that we ourselves are not able to decrypt these messages. So he made a very good, strong campaign. People say I'm a Fandroid and I hate Apple, and I'm here telling you right now that this is something that Apple's done right. The only problem with Apple, there is sometimes I don't trust them. I don't believe what they're saying, especially because, as I've already cited to you, there have been cases where they have disclosed client and customer information to the government willingly on request from the government and the FBI and other agencies. That's why I don't trust them. There's been a lot of hacks recently with a lot of the Apple services, whether it be iCloud or just generally kind of malware and that kind of thing. So I tend to take their marketing spin with a pinch of salt that comes with it. But encryption is a good, very, very good step and measure for security.
The irony.
Sorry. Why am I not promoting iMessages so much is because how many people out there use iMessage? Only your iPhone guys use iMessage. But even the iPhone guys use WhatsApp.
Of course.
Right? Even they don't use iMessage that much. All right? So, people stop using text messages. iMessage is really an extension of your text messaging service, all right? That it switches to internet when it can and it's very useful, by the way, to use iMessage. But a lot of people don't realize this, and people still revert to WhatsApp. Why? Because iMessage is closed source. It is not available on Android. They will not release it on Windows. Okay, so people go to cross-platform, free kind of open services like WhatsApp. And WhatsApp isn't free. What I meant free, it's not locked down to an operating system. So you can get WhatsApp on iPhone, you can get it on Windows phone, you can get it on your BlackBerry if I'm right, you can get it on your Android phone, and that's why a lot of people use WhatsApp over iMessages. But WhatsApp has not been secure until very recently. They've started to encrypt. And you said they were copying somebody. Well, that's true. Because like WhatsApp, there's another service called Telegram. And as soon as WhatsApp got bought out by Facebook, who are criticized heavily for their anti-privacy methods and ways, then a lot of us had moved away from WhatsApp. For a number of reasons, that being one of the reasons, and we went to Telegram because their messages, especially their one-to-one chat is encrypted end-to-end, the same way WhatsApp is now. And Telegram is just like WhatsApp. It's less of a battery drain. It hardly drains your battery actually compared to WhatsApp. It's a lighter app in general. It's smoother, I've seen, in terms of usability, or at least on an Android device.
Your group numbers are a lot more.
That's right. And you can share any type of file that you like. It doesn't have to be only pictures. Or,
even the file size. I mean, what's the
1 gig file each?
1 gig file on Telegram. Yes.
Yeah. So but
you can definitely send a minimum of up to 100 meg, 200 meg at the moment.
Yeah, you can send as many up to 1 gig. You can send up to a gig's file. So if you've got a 1 gig file, I mean, I know CDs and DVDs used to be 700 megabytes back in. That's almost a gig. You can send an entire video film.
Audio, CD,
yeah, that's it. You can send it via Telegram. It will take forever to download, obviously, and to upload, but you can still do it if you have the patience and a strong connection. There's other things. For example, the pictures and the videos that people send often. Sometimes, you're in a big group with loads of guys. They send you all sorts of rubbish pictures and videos.
Even with the new update on Telegram now, and it's got this really clean
Slick.
kind of...
That's the Android Lollipop design.
Is that that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the Android Lollipop design.
I'm liking it. I'm really liking it.
That's what Android Lollipop introduces, material design. And a lot of the Google apps now look like that, basically. So Google's asked a lot of their developers, like Telegram and others, to go and follow the same design.
For WhatsApp, like I said,
but that alone, the point I was making, how these videos people send sometimes, like prank videos and jokes and stuff like that, and loads of images. You get loads, messages filling up your inbox on WhatsApp. They start to take up space, a lot of space, on your hard drive, on your actual internal storage, your memory card, on your phone. And I found that to be a problem. Sometimes I'd get like 5 gigs of space taken up just by WhatsApp. 5 gigs on a 16 gigabyte hard drive, which half of that, 5 gigs of it, is being used by the operating system or something like that. Then you've got nothing left to install your apps for. So WhatsApp used to take up a lot of space. Telegram doesn't do that. Telegram, you have to tell it to download the images. If you really like that image,
does WhatsApp have that function, or that option?
It automatically downloads, as far as I know. It doesn't ask you, it just downloads it onto your phone. That's how it operated before I left.
I suppose the best way to free up their servers on their end, I suppose.
Yeah, so that's exactly what happens with Telegram. They keep all the data on their servers, and if you want to download that image, you can view it and everything in full res. But if you want to download it, you just ask for it to save in your gallery. And that's what happens.
As I was saying before, with WhatsApp, it's the irony. It's been bought by Facebook. The most critically acclaimed company for their lack of security, and WhatsApp come up and they want to do their kind of security element to it as well.
Let me read. Well, because WhatsApp have lost a lot of users. They're still the biggest messaging service out there, but they've lost a lot of users, like you and me, to Telegram. All right, this is what Telegram's developer had to say when they heard that WhatsApp is finally introducing encryption. He wrote a blog piece. I think his name is Durov, and he said how to predict WhatsApp features. So if you want to predict the new features that you will see in WhatsApp in the recent short future, then you should look to Telegram, and you will see some of the Telegram features being introduced into WhatsApp. That's basically the too long didn't read of that. So he says how to predict WhatsApp features. He says a great thing about building the Telegram app is that you can force bigger apps to improve their products and also predict their actions. Since we launched Telegram, WhatsApp raised the maximum size of videos and group chats several times. They still didn't catch up with us, but the progress started exactly 2 weeks after Telegram was born. That was evident. Following our path, WhatsApp recently introduced message read status. And today, their first attempt to enable end-to-end encryption for Android texts. That read or unread, you get the tick marks or the check marks.
Yeah.
That was never on WhatsApp before, but it was on Telegram, and now they've introduced that as well. So the day we launched Telegram last year, the developer for WhatsApp shared a snarky remark with a Russian magazine. Referring to the maker of Telegram, Pavel Durov, he said, Durov only knows how to copy great products like Facebook and WhatsApp. He never had and will never have original ideas. End quote. That's what the creator of WhatsApp said about Pavel Durov, the maker of Telegram, who is writing this piece. He says here, I didn't comment on it then, and I'm not going to do it today. Instead, I'll have a look at Telegram and tell you guys what features WhatsApp users will enjoy within a year or so. Ouch. Check out this guy's got class. So he's saying, what you'll get in a year or so is an ability to share documents of any type. They are unlikely to support 1 gigabyte large files like Telegram does, but you can definitely count on maybe a 50 or 100 megabyte file. Additionally, a web version of WhatsApp may appear, because on Telegram, for example, if you don't have your phone, you can just log in onto Telegram on your computer and still be in touch with your friends and family through Telegram on the web. So you don't need a smartphone and a SIM card to do all of that. You can obviously get it on your tablet device as well. So this is certain, he says, since January the developer for WhatsApp actually emailed us at Telegram, okay, for a web version, unsuccessfully trying to hire one of our developers for this purpose. I guess it was surprising for them to learn that some people actually do not sell out and not just say so. I'm assuming he's referring to being bought out by Facebook. Distribution between multiple data centers around the world. Combined with synchronization, this can take a while to set up. Still, if WhatsApp seriously wants to catch up, they need to do it to improve delivery time. Because WhatsApp messages actually don't travel, don't send and receive as fast as Telegram messages do. A self-destruct timer for messages. Here's another point about security. Not only is WhatsApp, Telegram's messages encrypted, if you're in a one-to-one closed private conversation with someone, you can actually ask Telegram to delete basically your encrypted messages. So you can put a timer on it. So once you've sent a message, whatever, let's go to the pizza today, make sure the FBI are not listening about what flavor topping we're going to have. And you can set a timer for when your recipient reads that, about 10 seconds later, it will automatically self-destruct and delete itself from your phone and from the servers altogether. On top of that, it was encrypted anyway to begin with. So this is something that Pavel Durov, the guy from Telegram, is saying that maybe WhatsApp will eventually come around to copying from us. So it's become a little bit of a tit for tat. Yeah, basically here, but you can see why.
I can see WhatsApp just taking everything what he just said.
Because WhatsApp made some sleazy, snarky remark there, and obviously I think Pavel Durov and the Telegram guys have kind of risen above that, and this is probably their first proper response.
I can see WhatsApp following exactly what he said, that WhatsApp will do a web-based service.
Them. Just like, this is the funny thing, this is exactly what iOS has been saying, these guys are thieving our designs, these Android people and these manufacturers there, and Google, they haven't mentioned Google because...
but you know what, there is one thing...
They mentioned Samsung, they said they're copying our features, this and that from our operating system. They've got slide to unlock, oh my god, how dare they copy, using your finger on the screen to slide and opening the screen like that, how dare they do it, and look at the design, it's got 4 sides. Their phone has got 4 sides. It's a rectangular shaped phone, all my days. I mean, and they sued Samsung for that.
There is one pressing question I do have. I mean, I don't know whether you could enlighten me on this.
I'll try.
WhatsApp. Have you seen the logo?
WhatsApp. Their logo, yeah.
Have you seen the logo?
Yeah.
Can you just describe to our listeners what the logo looks like?
I don't see anything strange with the logo. It's the usual circular shape with green, background and a telephone.
Exactly.
Icon on the
telephone. Why is there a telephone there for?
I think haven't they introduced that yet? They can make phone calls now via WhatsApp?
No.
They haven't introduced, who's on WhatsApp now? I mean, I don't use WhatsApp.
I don't use it as much, but I don't think you can make calls from it.
I read somewhere that they will be introducing phone calls via WhatsApp, internet, voice over internet protocol calls, VoIP calls, I believe.
Is that something what Google's done already?
Google's done that with Hangouts. It's a bit like FaceTime, a bit like Skype, a bit like Tango, Viber. They're all basically voice over internet kind of calls, really. Hangouts does that already.
Maybe that's something that they might. The only thing that they might do that
Telegram hasn't done. Yeah, it's true.
Let's watch your space.
Definitely. I want to move away from WhatsApp for a second, and I want to talk about one last story here. Actually, I'm going to finish off on a good note. But before that good note, we have to hit us with some hard reality. This is news, okay? And this is news. This is in wired.co.uk. It is actually in The Guardian. It's in The Independent. It's in the other well-known... It's even on the BBC, for example. And and that's okay. So, I mean... I was going to say that we're reading from Wired because they've given a better description than some of the mainstream papers here. They've laid out the scenario better than the BBC would have, for example. I've read all of their articles as well. It says here on wired.co.uk, Wired for our American guys, Amnesty helps launch free anti-spyware tool for activists on Android. Basically... sorry, for Android. This is for Windows. Did I read Android? Yeah, this is for Windows. So Amnesty helps launch free anti-spyware tool for activists. You might think this doesn't mean nothing to me. Amnesty International is a human rights organization, very well known. They do campaign for, victims of human rights abuses all over the world. And let me just read. A security researcher has created a free downloadable tool that journalists and activists can use to scan their computers and their mobile devices for surveillance malware.
This is brilliant.
This is called Detect. This app or this tool, Detect, was created by Claudio Guarnieri. I'm probably not pronouncing his name right, an analyst who works at non-profit organization The Honey Net Project and the Shadow Server Foundation, building open source tools to help make the internet a safer place. So that's the guy who made this tool called Detect. Detect with a K, D-E-T-E-K-T. Knowing that human rights campaigners and journalists all over the globe are increasingly at risk of having their activities spied upon and hampered by intrusive governments. That's right, hampered by intrusive governments. Amnesty International, Digital Gesellschaft, I think that's a German company, or Digital Gesellschaft, Electronic Frontier Foundation, EFF, and Privacy International, a British org, I believe, have joined with Guarnieri to get this piece of software out to their networks, and it couldn't come soon enough, said Wired. Open quote, in the last few years, it's something we're encountering more and more. Individuals we work with, human rights activists, lawyers, journalists, are finding these forms of harassment and repression from governments. You might be thinking of, end quote, you might be thinking of China here, North Korea. No, we're talking about the American government. We're talking about the British government here. And we're talking about, of course, the rest of the other governments who are probably just as bad or even worse. Well, I'll say just as bad. Some are better at covering it up than others. Tanya O'Carroll from Amnesty International's Technology and Human Rights team tells Wired.co.uk that they are no longer only threatened with physical tools but also using digital ones, end quote. Marek Marczynski, head of military, security and police at Amnesty International, adds that governments are increasingly using dangerous and sophisticated technology that allows them to read activists' and journalists' private emails and remotely turn on their computers. You hear that right? Governments can remotely turn on people's computers' camera or microphone to secretly record their activities. They use the technology in a cowardly attempt to prevent abuses of theirs from being exposed. And there have been a lot of reports about this. This has been carried in the mainstream newspapers. Even in the UK, some of the people's laptops and computers have been used to record, people in their personal lives at home, in their bedroom and stuff like that. They've been recorded using the cameras on the laptop or the phone and the microphone.
Could that be a reason why my...
it's perfectly legal, of course. If the government does it,
Could that be a reason why my Note 3 used to drain its battery so quickly?
I thought it was WhatsApp a moment ago. Now you're telling me it's the
I don't know. Could be. I don't know.
GCHQ. Oh, come on.
Could they use...
be working together?
Is there an alliance between the two?
Look, I wouldn't go into any speculation, but we shouldn't be naive at the same time that they don't have the powers to do so, and that it is happening. And it is well reported. It is no longer a conspiracy theory. It is actually a proven fact. It's been recorded that this kind of abuse is taking place, to the extent that some heads of state, I think it was Angela Merkel of Germany, who found that her own phone was being tapped by US intelligence agencies. And Angela Merkel is supposed to be an ally of the Americans in Europe.
Ouch.
If I've got her name right. It could be another lady, but I'm pretty sure.
No, you are right. I remember that.
Okay.
Clearly.
So look, we could go on and read about this, but it's fantastic to find that these guys are the ones who've
But you know what? This
fighting back against government abuse, harassment.
At the beginning of the article, I actually said, I don't know if you heard me. I said this is fantastic. I mean, you know, you have organizations such as Amnesty, and you have other organizations like this, and there's only so much that they can really do when it comes to them giving help. I mean, obviously they can write a report, and they can get heads of state to sign it, big organizations, worldwide renowned organizations signing it. I mean, but that's only so much that can do.
Yeah.
But you have now a human rights organization giving you the basic tool to how to safeguard yourself. These are practical things. These are things that
I've actually downloaded this tool, and I've used it on my Windows PC. And thankfully, according to the tool, my PC is clear. However, they do make they also make apparent that the tool may not be the only way to figure that out. Sometimes it might miss something here and there, so it needs to be done on a regular basis. And they've advised, if you genuinely do think you're being surveilled, then you should contact some experts and to really get to the bottom of it. But you're absolutely right. I'm really, really impressed that finally the people of the world are getting together, putting their minds together. These they're referred to as hackers, but these guys produce this kind of excellent open source product for the everyday consumer out there, and they know it is to protect the population from government abuse. This is the website where Detect is being downloaded from. The guys who developed it, they set this up. And it says here, interestingly, differently to how we read from a moment ago from wired.co.uk, it says actually here that it's been well documented that governments are using surveillance technology to target human rights defenders, journalists, NGOs, political opponents, religious or ethnic minorities, and to conduct countrywide surveillance. See, the guys who actually made the app or the tool have gone further to include these other groups of people who are being abused by the government,
or who have been already,
who are being abused and have been abused, and he's included in there not just journalists and human rights activists, as wired.co.uk was conveniently just mentioning, because they're supposed to be the good guys. A lot of people think religious groups or ethnic minorities, who cares? Those immigrants, let those, aliens be, aliens actually another word for immigrant, actually,
yes.
Surprisingly enough. So the bigots often don't care if they're happening to religious or ethnic minorities, and even political opponents. And dare I say, when I say political opponent, let us go back to wired.co.uk. They have been saying that wired.co.uk has written extensively about the spyware battlefield the likes of Amnesty and those it fights for are facing. It was in 2011 that Privacy International demanded the Prime Minister, David Cameron, answer questions relating to the export of British surveillance technologies to repressive regimes, including those in Egypt and Syria during uprisings in both nations. Can you believe that? Oh yes, I can. I ain't even the slightest surprised. You see, that's why when the actual guys who developed Detect tool to help you save yourself from these kind of surveillance from the governments, they mentioned political opponents. And we know in Egypt that the current military coup regime, the one that ousted a democratically elected leader, these were the kinds of people, and the former regime, which is one and the same regime really, Hosni Mubarak, they were receiving this kind of technology, this kind of hardware and expertise from the British government for a fee. To do what? To do this anti-democratic military coup and kind of spy on the people. So all this promise and this, malarkey about democracy and freedom and free press and free politics is a farce. And if you believed it, you were the bigger fool for it. And, really we need to wake up and look to these kind of organizations like Privacy International, Amnesty International, Cage, Reprieve. There are some excellent human rights organizations out there, civil liberties organizations out there, and they know what they're talking about. And you'll be surprised to find out that almost all of them are non-Muslim organizations, and they don't even come from an ethnic minority background.
So this is a tech show, and we can use technology for human rights purposes.
That's correct. We can
Wow.
use
I mean,
technology for human
what
rights.
moral, what high moral ground do you need? What else do you need? Technology on a human, helping fellow humans.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with how important that is. Look here, it's a part of the testimony from David Cameron, okay, specifically, through David Cameron, related specifically to Finn Fisher. This is a name given to a surveillance software that is found to be used by Hosni Mubarak's secret police in Egypt. It can be used to listen in on Skype conversations, extract files from hard drives in your computer, switch on the microphone to record or the camera to take photos or videos. So you can be in the safety of your own home, but the government will be there listening in on you. And it's not just our government, it is these dirty governments that we pretend to hate, but we actually love to support with our dirty tools that we've been selling them. So really, it's a huge shame and a damning indictment on the government here in the UK and those abroad. I want to finish up tonight. I know, Brother Adam, you're rearing to go. We're coming back to a more mundane story here. Last question: have you ever had a Nokia device in the past at all?
Nope, I can't say that I have.
Well, all these years, I know you.
No, I have had a Nokia phone, but
Yeah.
these are the
dumb
old,
phones,
the black
the feature
and white
phones,
ones.
they're
Yeah,
called, yeah.
not a Nokia smartphone.
You had the 5146,
What one is that one?
the first
I don't really
of
know them
the face of
No,
Nokia phones.
Nope.
How about the 3210, 3330?
I have a 3310, I think, is it?
Yeah, the 3210.
The old ones, with the first one that came out with the game, you can play the snake games and all that. Yeah.
So we've all had some experience with some Nokia phones. Even myself, when I've had Nokia phones in the past as well. So everybody knows the Nokia brand, but Nokia recently got purchased or bought by Microsoft. Okay.
Yeah, Windows, isn't it?
Yeah, and Nokia phones were running Windows operating system on their smartphones. They haven't been very popular, but they are available quite widely actually, from the cheap low-end devices to the very expensive Nokia Lumia PureView devices. The I think the 1020, the 920. There's a more recent 930. Which is, I think, the latest high-end Nokia phone. The 1520 is a big screen device, very good-looking Nokia device. But they all run Windows, like you said. But what stood out for me, Brother Adam, for these Nokia devices was its ability, to put in those amazing cameras. A lot of you guys will remember the Nokia, what is it, the N9, the N8? I don't know what they were called. The ones with the excellent Carl Zeiss sensor in them for their camera. They had some excellent cameras. I mean, there's no denying it. N95, I think, is the one that I'm looking for.
I think Nokia phones always had good cameras on them. You can't deny that.
But when they went to the smartphone business and did their Windows phones, they started producing PureView cameras with 41 megapixel sensors in them. So this is unheard of. The iPhone's 8 megapixel. I think the Galaxy Note 4 is just released, and it's a 16 megapixel camera. The closest that any other phones can come to is the Sony phones with the 20.1 megapixel camera, and it is nothing. I've seen the comparison. It cannot compare to the Nokia sensors. And there are some, like the 1520, for example, is a 20 megapixel camera. And even then, the Nokia's 20 megapixel camera completely trounces the Sony Xperia Z3's camera. In fact, the Note 4's 16 megapixel camera does a better job than the Sony Xperia Z3's camera. The Xperia Z3 is comparable to the iPhone 6's camera, which is a very good camera, by the way, and so is Sony's. But the Nokia phones, my goodness, their cameras are awesome. And a lot of people who buy Android used to buy Nokia before, and they used a Symbian operating system, which was, I think, Nokia's previous operating system. Then they went with Migo, for a short while. That didn't take off very well for Nokia, and they kind of shut that down. Migo has resurrected itself under a new name, independently by some former Nokia employees, and it's going by the name of Jolla or Holla, Jolla. But coming back to the point, everybody who's got an Android phone used to own some big boy Nokia phone with the Windows operating system back in the day, Windows 95 or whatever it was called, Windows Mobile. They had the XDAs, and they had these, the stylus, and they were touch screens, and they were, pointing their, little pen on the display. They loved those phones, and they had the flip out keyboard, and everybody remembers those big boy XDA, PDA, whatever they were called, MDA. I don't know. They were built by HTC at the time. So Nokia stopped doing that in the middle, and they disappeared from the scene for a while, and they re-emerged doing Windows phones that are not very popular. In the meantime, all of those users went and bought Android phones, okay, for the ability that they had with the Windows Mobile before. Now, they've been clamoring, these Android users have been clamoring on about how they wanted Nokia to come back into the game and make an Android device, because they love their camera and they've used their hardware before, and they're really disappointed that Nokia's gone with Windows, with Microsoft. And then it seemed like it's an impossibility that Nokia would ever do an Android device, because eventually Nokia got bought only recently by Microsoft. So it looked like there's no way Microsoft is going to allow for there to be a Nokia built Android device with their lovely 41 megapixel camera in there. But surprise, surprise, just today, or this morning or yesterday to be precise, Nokia has released a new device, and it does run Android, and it's called the Nokia N1, going with their household famous name, the N series. It is called the Nokia N1, and it's not a phone, it's actually a tablet, and it's a very good looking tablet at that. Have you had a look at this tablet at all?
No, I can't say that I have.
This is brand new. It's just been announced, and a lot of people do not know about this device. And it's running Lollipop out of the box. It's got a 64-bit OS in there. It's got the same graphics chip that the iPad Mini has got in it, the iPad Mini 3, the latest one. So it's got an Intel Atom processor in there. It's got an 8 megapixel camera, I think, and it's made completely out of metal. And if you were to look at it side by side to an iPad Mini, you probably would not know the difference, because they look almost exactly the same as the iPad. It comes in black, and it comes in the silver, grey color, all metal, complete unibody design, more unibody than Apple's iPad. And I'm very interested in this device. Apparently, it's selling for a very dirt cheap price as well. But we don't know what the prices will be like when it comes in the UK, so I don't want to give any quotes on that, but something like, I can't remember, $200 and something right now is being quoted at. That is not the retail price for the UK. That could change later on, right? So I don't know, Mr. Producer, have you seen this Nokia N1 at all?
I've seen little snippets of it, and oh boy, do I want to get one.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to get one. If it's
at
at that
cheap,
price, then
it's a no-brainer.
I can see myself rocking out with that.
For sure, and it's got Android Lollipop straight out the box.
It's like all the
and
the
for once, it's a good-looking Android device.
Yeah, I mean, all the glorious details of the golden era of Nokia, all kind of, I can just see it all compressed into the one tablet, and I think for Nokia, this is a all for one, all out kind of last attempt to kind of crawl back to come back.
People say this is never going to happen. I've been following this story because I've been looking for an Android device built by Nokia, and people have been saying over and over again, analysts have been saying, experts, saying this is never going to happen. But Nokia has actually only signed a contract with Microsoft to not use Nokia's name until I think 2018 or something like that for a mobile device, but they can then thereafter use the Nokia brand again to design and build and produce Nokia devices in the future. Nokia hasn't said anything about this yet, but people are speculating that since they've done this Android tablet, the likelihood is that they will get back into the smartphone business this time with Android. That's going to be huge.
I mean, if they can do, the expectation that I have with this N1 device, I can see it really, really kicking off.
It's a high-end device. It's got the full gig of RAM. It's got the full processor in there. It's got the whole latest operating system on there.
I mean,
it's slimmer than the iPad Mini 3. And the iPad Mini 3 is, boy, is it slim. It is one slim piece of sweet tech. But the Nokia N1 is even slimmer.
Any specs?
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
Screen size?
Screen size is the exact same, 7.9-inch screen as the iPad Mini 3.
Could it
it's got the exact same pixels per inch, i.e. pixel density and sharpness, basically, as the iPad Mini 3. It's got some Wolfson audio system in there. I don't know if there's any audio files out there. They would know what the name Wolfson, what it means.
And deep down, I wanted to do.
It's also the first Android device that I know of that's debuting with the new USB charging cable. This is a new USB standard that we're hoping all the other manufacturers are going to adopt. It's very much like the Lightning port. It's a reversible USB cable, and both ends are the same looking. It's not a fat on one end and small on the other end. It's small on both ends. So it's just like the Lightning cable, and it comes with one of those in the box for you to use to charge your.
I have really high expectation. I want it deep down. I want it to be better than the iPad Mini.
Well, check this out. Nokia, like Apple, Nokia designed it. They were the brains behind it. What they did was they outsourced the manufacturing to a company that builds iPads. A Chinese company, of course. It's called Foxconn. And now Foxconn make iPads, iPhones and whatnot. And you've got Nokia now going to the same guy saying, you know, build us something as good or better.
This is exciting.
That's
this is really exciting.
Definitely.
At the beginning of the show, when I mentioned that I fall into the category where the tablet is my kind of everyday. It's my newspaper in the first thing in the morning. It's my entertainment bit when I'm in the evening when I'm watching
for the
news.
kids.
And it's everything for me at the moment. And to have something like that, especially from an old company, which is like you said, I mean, I had
old school is classic.
I had the 5146, and I bought a stack load of yellow, green, blue, red face off, and I was popular. Trust me. I was popular.
Don't be saying that.
Yeah.
Was in the past tense. And
I would come up with the yellow phone, the come up with the blue phone, and it was the same phone, and it was fantastic. And who could not forget the Snake game?
You were popular amongst all the geeks and the nerds, and that's a good place to be popular. Alhamdulillah. So
only,
yeah, only. So, I mean, definitely it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it, and I think this is the end of our show. We have really gone into a 2-hour show this week. This is not happening next week, Mr. Producer. I do promise you that, inshallah, because I had Brother Adam with me today, and we had some good banter on the show. I want to say, if he's got any final words, we'll hear from you next week, inshallah.
Inshallah. You might be hearing of me a bit more.
Definitely. Will you be having your upgrade by then? No, you said 3 weeks' time, yeah?
On the 29th, inshallah, of December. So anytime before, around that time, inshallah. So
cool,
we'll see what
definitely.
happens.
All right, no problem. Thank you very much again and Jazakallah khair to Brother Adam for coming into our studio. Warm assalamu alaikum to you.
Alaikum salam.
And to all our listeners out there who've been tuned in the last 2 hours, you've been listening to Tech Talk on Middle Path Radio. Come back same time, same place next week, every Thursday at 6 p.m. to listen to Tech Talk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.